Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. This morning, we are continuing our post-budget discourse. And to have that conversation with me this morning, I have the privilege of chatting with the Chief Technical Advisor at the Division of Finance, Trade and the Economy, Mr. Anslem. Richards, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, wherever you are.
No problem now. During the budget review, that media briefing that took place, we heard from the Secretary for Finance, and she indicated that the allocation just demonstrated, the level of unfair practices that have been going on between the THA and the central government for a long time. Now, this is after a presentation that she made in the House and indicating that in the past, when Tobago has suffered from a number of natural disasters, it still has not been given its fair share. She used the word, fiscal wickedness
In high
places with
yes.
this allocation. And some persons were, not happy about what was said, but others, their eyes were open in regards to what some may deem as being unfair in equitable share of the national budget. From your perspective and from where you sit as technical advisor, you requested 5.8% of the national budget this year, and you were given 4.3%. Tell us about what went into the ask and why you think that Tobago truly deserved more.
Right. So, and what we need to understand is the methodology for the allocation of the resources between Trinidad and Tobago. And the framework that was approved by the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad is the DRC framework. The DRC framework in 2000 when it was published, and when the DRC reported on the claim by the Assembly that we were not getting a fair share of the national budget, reported that Tobago should get between 4.03% and 6.9%. But we need to understand the thinking and the circumstances that inform the 4.03%. At the time in 2000, Tobago population as a share of the national population was 4.03% of the national population. And if you go to the Act, the THA Act, there are a number of conditions that the Act states that the central government must, or the Parliament, as a matter of fact, should give consideration to when it is making an allocation to the Tobago Assembly for the operation of the business of Tobago in any fiscal year. And those things speak to the absence of the multiplier effect, the removal of Tobago from the center of economic activity, the lack of educational opportunity, and a host of things are listed in the law because they recognize that Tobago was starting from a place of disadvantage. And therefore, if we have to catch up, those disadvantageous conditions has to be funded. So they gave the range from 4.03% to 6.9% was the space for the government of Trinidad to make additional allocation on the 4.03%, which is the minimum share Tobago should have, and which we have been getting for the last 24 years to deal with those conditions. What has happened since, and we have done the research since we have been in office, is that the Tobago population has grown to 5.1% of the national population. 5.1%. So if we are working with the DRC approved methodology and framework for the allocation of the resources to the people of Tobago, as a minimum, Tobago should have been allocated 5.1%. This position has been clearly written and articulated to the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister. As a matter of fact, the Chief Secretary wrote to the Prime Minister in January in keeping with Section 56 of the THA Act, which speaks to the DRC, rolling out our complaint, stating these facts, presenting two options to resolve this matter, or ask for him to trigger the DRC, because we need to go back to the DRC. The same information was conveyed in correspondence to the Minister of Finance. As a matter of fact, on the 30th of August, we had a in-person meeting with the Minister of Finance, and this was articulated. He asked, where did we get the population data from? From the CSO, and we gave him copy of the DRC ruling, we give him copy, and if you go to the Tobago budget for fiscal 2025, you will see that this position was clearly articulated and explained as to how the allocation was arrived at. So we are at 5.1%. That should have been our minimum share. That is our minimum entitlement for the people of Tobago, and we have put on 0.7 percentage points on that to take us to 5.8% to deal with those conditions that the Act spoke to in Section 47 of the Act.
Right.
That is how we arrived at the 5.8%. We are not asking for anything that is unreasonable, and our ask is based on facts and science and the population requirement of the people of Tobago. It is not that we just arrive at a figure. So what we would have done, we would have forecast what the national budget is likely to be. I know we knew that we were a bit high, but that is what the data projected. And we had asked for 5.8% of $65.8 billion. That would have taken us to 3.8 billion. But the fact here is not what the nominal figure is. It's what is the percentage share based on our population share of the national budget. So we have been denied, in keeping with the DRC ruling, we have been denied $400+ million. Our allocation out of this budget of $59.74 billion at 5.1% should have given us $3.05 billion. So if you do the maths, the government owes the people of Trinidad, of Tobago, the central government owes the people of Tobago $490-something million.
Right, and coming out of that discussion with the Minister for Finance, Colin Imbert, what was the response from him after that request, and what do you think was the motivation behind still allocating 4.3 after having such an extensive discussion with all the facts being presented?
First, I don't think the people in the ministry at the time appreciated how the DRC arrived at the ruling. As a matter of fact, they didn't understand the DRC ruling and what the 4.03 meant and what the 6.9 meant. They didn't know. They just didn't know. And that is a problem we have in the country. Those people in Trinidad, in the ministries in Trinidad, who are making decisions, important decisions that impacts the lives of the people of Tobago, are not interested. They don't know, and they're not interested in knowing how those things were arrived at. So it was a period of learning for them.
Right.
The minister also took the position that if he have to give us 5.8%, he have to take from Trinidad, to say that in other words, from another ministry or somewhere else. So we said to him, all we are asking for is our per capita share. Give every citizen their dollar. And that is what the per capita share said. You have to spend $59.74 billion. For 5.1% means that you give every Tobagonian a dollar out of that money, their dollar out of that money. That is all it means, you know. And you give every Trinidadian their dollar. Then we have equality in the distribution of the resources. That is not happening. 4.35% is not a fair and equal share of the budget to the people of Tobago. And we need to understand that. Let us not focus on the $2.5 billion. Let us look at the population share and divide the budget by that, and that is what Tobago should receive. Because the parliament is the one that approved the DRC framework for the allocation of the resources. And the same parliament and the same cabinet is now not observing, standing in, not in compliance with the same methodology that they have approved.
So can we see this administration triggering that dispute?
But of course, the chief secretary is armed. As a matter of fact, I will take the blame for restraining the chief secretary. The chief secretary wanted to go to court a long time. But I think that we needed to give the central government an opportunity for collaboration, learning, and progressive reasoning and so forth. That has not happened. And therefore, I think we have to resort to triggering the DRC. Because we have nothing to lose. The DRC is 24 years old. We have been fed at the lower end of the DRC ruling. Our population now is 5.1% of the national population. We can't lose.
But how long would such a dispute take, and how would that benefit Tobagonians specifically in a year leading up to an election?
Well, in the first instance, the DRC ruled within a year. But the fact that there are antecedents and there are data in the process and there's a methodology to use, it could happen within 3 months, I think. And therefore, we may get the uptick in the next budget, not this fiscal. But the thing that we need to understand here is that the central government has a responsibility to pass laws and regulations for the good and harmonious governance of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And that means passing laws and regulations to ensure that there's progressive relationship and harmonious development between the people of Trinidad and the people of Tobago. When you treat the island the way you are treating the island, it brings and breeds a kind of thinking among Tobagonians that we are not considered worthy of what we should get in this republic.
And what do you then think about the Tobagonians who are echoing the sentiment that what was allocated is more than enough?
Oh, you know the Bible of Judas and Jesus Christ? You know the story in the Bible that was sold for 30 pieces of silver?
I know the story.
You ever read about the slave trade? And Africans who holding Africans and sell them to the Europeans and so forth?
Yes, I did.
All right. I will leave the response to that in that right there.
Yeah.
I see no more.
Right. And so there is the conversation also saying, it's not a matter of not being, well, this is a political argument. I must first say that we have heard the leader of the Tobago PNM Council, Anslem, saying that, and the minority leader saying that it's not a matter of a financial allocation, but a matter of mismanagement. How do you respond to that?
The PNM in Tobago, who have mismanaged this island for 24 years, is speaking about mismanagement. This administration came in, and when we did the assessment, we inherited $1 billion in liabilities. We still owe contractors that they hired without identifying the sources of funds to pay them $450 million. And their party in central government in Trinidad is not helping the cause. They are not providing the resources, right? They have borrowed for $164 point something million in bond finances and spent all of that in 2 months before the 2021 election, and leave us with a liability to pay in 2027 of $165 million in a bullet payment to the investors in that bond financing. This administration, the current central government administration, have denied the people of Tobago $166.4 million between 2017 and 2023, fiscal 2023, by adjusting and suspending that amount of the parliamentary allocation to the Tobago House of Assembly. And these people who are purporting that they're interested in Tobago's interest and Tobago's development and representing the people of Tobago and standing in Scarborough and saying that it's not about the allocation, it's about mismanagement. If we are entitled to $5, give us our $5. Let me tell you something. A people right to self-determination have gone to the extreme, if you go to the international literature, that the people have a right to mismanage themselves. So not because for the offense field we can't manage them, mean that they will take our money. The participants have authority to manage. We will determine our destiny. And that gives you within that margin of determination even the right to mismanage yourself. So it is not Port of Spain to sit in Port of Spain and adjudicate that Scarborough can't manage itself, so we'll keep back some of the money down here and come and spend it for them. Like they want to spend $56 million to renovate the Magdalena Hotel, and they give us $205 million. That is over 30% of our whole development budget. How do you reconcile those things and you talk about mismanagement?
Right, and we see a situation where there are single item projects like the
Hilton Hotel
$400 million.
200% time what they have given us to develop the infrastructure across the entire island of Tobago, to deal with schools, to deal with hospital, to deal with health centers, to deal with playing field. You understand? To deal with our infrastructure that was damaged badly by the inclement weather in 2022. When the north side road infrastructure went, right? And more than that, we are putting the data together. We understand that there have been some insurance payout for those damage to our infrastructure that came to the central government and were not sent to Tobago from the Caribbean insurance framework that we are part of. Just like with Beryl, and I know the Secretary of Finance would have mentioned that, we supposed to receive $378 thousand US in payout for the damage Tobago suffered from Hurricane Beryl. The Minister of Finance told us on the 30th of August in that meeting that he's not giving us the money because it's the central government that pays the premium. You know what that is like? You are living upstairs. Your son is living downstairs in your house. You are paying an insurance premium. Your son got flooded out. His appliances are damaged. The insurance pay, and you keep the money and tell your son, you're not getting no money downstairs for the damage you have suffered because I am paying the insurance. That is what they are doing, you know. That is what these people are doing. And Tobagonian needs to understand what is happening. And Tobagonian needs to be educated. We need to have the fact check. We need to have the false narrative upended. And we need to speak true to the people of Tobago. And that has
So
not been happening.
how do you then have a situation, or what are you saying to the members of parliament that represent Tobago? Or not even that represent Tobago, the Tobagonians who sit in the parliament, who are colleagues of the minister, who is saying, we are not giving Tobago this money because we are paying this premium. How do you speak to them on their job to advocate on behalf of Tobago?
If you understand the history of the colonial outfit that is the PNM, the colonial outfit that is the PNM, you don't represent your constituency, you represent the position of the party. The minute you divert from the position of the party, you are out. That is the history. Let us not fool ourselves. So they cannot go, none of them, not Shamfa Kodjo, not Anna Westeroy, not Hislop, not even Ansel Dennis, could go to the PNM General Council or the Prime Minister or the Minister of Finance and tell them that they are not treating Tobago and Tobagonians fairly. They can't do that. That is not the culture of the organization of which they are part. That is not the culture.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we're going to be back right after this. See you soon. It's a brand new morning. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now we continue this interesting conversation on Tobago's allocation in the 2024-2025 fiscal budget, what Tobago has gotten and what Tobago truly deserves. And we've been having that conversation with a technical advisor for the Division of Finance, Trade and the Economy, Mr. Anslem. Richards, good morning and welcome back, sir. Now, before we went off to the break, things were heating up a bit. You were talking about the fact that the representatives from Tobago in the parliament are not going against the grain of their party. And hence the reason Tobago barely, or if not doesn't have true representation at the parliamentary level in Trinidad.
All right, then we do the fact check. I might just deal with figures. Ms. Kodjo and Ms. Webster have been in parliament for 9 years. Have you ever heard either of these parliamentary representatives stand up in the parliament and advocate for more for Tobagonians? You just give me one occasion on which that has happened. And you walk the streets of Tobago and ask anybody if they have ever heard any of these representatives stand up in the national parliament during a budget debate, during any debate in the parliament, and ask more for Tobago. And let me finish.
I know it was done when the opposition was in power.
No, I'm saying the last 10 years. They were in office for the last 10 years. So I really put it when their party is in power.
Okay.
And let me give you one example of the lack of representation that we have been suffering in the last 9 years. In December of 2021, on the 23rd of December to be precise, the government passed the TTRA Revenue Authority Bill. The Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority Bill, the TTRA bill. That bill that had come. It took this administration to do a review, and this notwithstanding that the Kelvin Child administration would have sent comments about the bill and how it relates to the Tobago's Assembly responsibility for revenue collection under the 5th schedule to the central government, their central government in Trinidad. They passed a bill that wiped and took away every authority the THA had for revenue collection in Tobago, to the point that they say the money collected in Tobago will be deposited in the consolidated fund and not in the THA fund account as the Constitution prescribed and as the THA House of Assembly Act operationalized. You understand what I'm saying? So it took we to go in and say, we cannot support this TTRA operationalization in Tobago with this floor legislation. Right?
Yeah.
The chief secretary,
because it directly contradicts
of course, the chief secretary wrote to the prime minister and said, brother man, we can't support this. We had to fix, let we meet and fix this thing here. Because in Tobago, no oversight. Revenue collection. A government cannot function without revenue. No oversight for the THA. No line of communication for the THA and the Director General of the Revenue Authority. So we have no authority for revenue collection. And when you go to the THA, the first responsibility of the Tobago Assembly is revenue collection. And you bring a law after. When we raised this with the minister, you know what was the minister response on the 30th of August? The minister said the THA wasn't mentioned in the Custom Acts. But you see, he didn't know that we have done our research. I said, but the Custom Act is an old act. That is 1938. The THA was in existence. It is not in the Board of Inland Revenue. I said that is 1930 something too. Then they back up. And if you don't do your work and go down to Port of Spain, these people will play you for fool. They will put lipstick on a pig and give it to you.
Understood. Now, you are extremely passionate about this.
Of course, it is time. I am bordering 60 years. And I'm getting very impatient.
Well, I mean, it's about that time for you to step forward and see what you have to say.
I'm getting really impatient with this whole governance arrangement. And let me tell you something. People have to understand that the autonomy bill is to give Tobagonians the kind of constitutional protection. And I want to use that term deliberately. The autonomy bill is necessary to give us, as Tobagonians, the constitutional protection from the vagaries of political operatives in Port of Spain. So when the Constitution says that Tobago is entitled to X, there is nothing no Minister of Finance could do and say that he could change our parliamentary allocation because you will be in violation of the Constitution.
So in regards to the revenue collection situation that you spoke about, has anything changed?
Well, the minister have conceded, although he was playing hardball on the first encounter, he have conceded that the act is flawed and that we have drafted the amendment. As a matter of fact, he gave us the mandate to draft the amendments that we need. So section 26 of the act says that all the money collected by the Revenue Authority must be deposited in the exchequer account. But in the exchequer account, it said notwithstanding, in the THA Act, it said notwithstanding section 5 or 12 of the exchequer act, all the money is collected in Tobago. All revenues must be deposited in the Tobago fund account, the THA fund account. So it said notwithstanding, that's what the THA Act says. Have it here, notwithstanding. And you know what I mean? They could say what they want. This happens in Tobago. They wanted to take that away through the Revenue Authority. We have to step in and stop that. You know what they did again? The minister have made the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance a fixture on the board. But they blocked the THA from appointing the administrator in the Division of Finance or the chief administrator to the board of the Revenue Authority. Discriminatory legislation. When we raised that to the minister, he said, "What I do?" He didn't even know what he had done. He did not even understand what he did. The thing was so obscene to the point that we said to the minister, when you are making laws, Mr. Minister, it's not for today. You have to look 10 years down the road. You may be the Minister of Finance today, but it may be Mulilal tomorrow. No, we told him that. We told him, and we have to be frontal and upfront with these people, you know, because that is the only time they will respect you. You can't go down there like the Shamfa and the Ayana Webster Roy and the Hislop and the Dennis and them and cow, you know. This is not about cowing. This is about defending your people. This is about defending the entitlement of the island of Tobago and Tobagonians. Right?
Yeah, as you indicated, the political structure doesn't allow for that. Because when persons
and that's why I'm saying,
are given a certain level of, you know, economic mobilization,
enticement,
right? They're able to.
But then it goes to your value. Let me tell you something. You feel like you'll be in Parliament. Watch Anslem Richards in the streets.
I mean, you could say that now, but when you get there, that might be a different story. We have heard a number of persons advocating for Tobago before they get to the Parliament, and when they get to Parliament, they become mute.
There was an
opportunity. I don't know until
I
I see you there that you will continue to advocate.
There's a lady named Agnes Williams, I think is her name, and Nathaniel Moore. They were senators under the Pandey administration, and they stood up during a debate and defended Tobago. Pandey fired them. But you have to do that because you are representing the people. I will never stand in any forum and betray my people. I will pay the consequences for defending Tobagonians anywhere I go. I am prepared for that. This is not about Anslem Richard. This is about the entitlement of the people of Tobago. And somebody have to bear the burden of getting the Tobago story outside there. And don't allow these people to continue to disseminate misinformation and trade in falsehood.
All right. Now, we have so much that we need to talk about, and we don't have enough time, especially seeing that, the whole traffic situation that caught you from getting here. But we heard the minister talk about a new 5-star hotel for Tobago in Buku. Was that a surprise to the THA, or is this a conversation that was had prior to the budget being announced?
Well, that is Sanders 2.0, right? But we welcome hotel development. We need those kind of development to push the economy forward. But what is missing from this piece, my friend, what is missing from this piece is that level of collaboration, that level of engagement, the co-creation of a development program for Tobago. We can't have a situation in Tobago where the central government have one lane of development and the THA has another lane. The synergies and the collaboration is missing, is necessary. You know that, and let Tobagonians understand this. Not a member, not a sitting member of this current executive council have been afforded the opportunity to visit the airport construction project and to understand what is happening there. Up to this day. And the project is 80% completed.
Right. And I remember during one of those training sessions on executive council notes that it came up that there are a number of state boards that require a THA representative. Not necessarily a Tobago representative, but a THA representative. And from my understanding, the central government has not given the THA the list of state boards that require a THA rep. Can you comment on that?
Well, we have asked for that, but I will say we have been doing the research, and I must say, Hannah Fairman, where the law requires a THA representative, the minister has been reaching out to the THA, seeking their nomination. I could say that with a level of certainty. Me don't come here for tell no lie. They have been reaching out and say you are the send a man for that. We have sent people. But where the gray area is the Tobago representative thing. But the Tobago representative, I think, must be agreed to between the THA and the central government, because that person needs to carry the Tobago concerns to the deliberation of that state entity. And if there's a disconnect between that person and the administration of the Tobago Assembly that leads the charge in where we go with the development of the island, then there will be a gap in the information that goes to the state authority. And that's where the platform of collaboration and building out a joint development program, and you need sustained commitment, you need sustained financing to move this island development forward.
So do you think that creating a committee or a board whose agenda is to bridge the development gap between the islands is necessary, or do you think that could happen just by having a positive relationship with the central government?
It could happen. There's no one configuration for that to happen. But I think what is the institutional response that we need, I think the time has come for us to have a Ministry of Intergovernmental Affairs or a Department of Intergovernmental Affairs. Where it should be housed, I don't know. But you need that body where the two governments, the central government and the THA as a government, interface and deal with those things and work out those common pathways that affects Tobago and affects Trinidad.
But as we move forward with issues of gender equity and all of these things, we see, and sustainability, we see the world moving towards, whenever legislation is being passed, even at the central government level, that there are interest groups that become a part of the conversation to make sure that the legislation passes the test of being gender equitable, right, and sustainable. So why isn't there a person from Tobago that says, I'm going to make sure that this is also equitable to Tobagonians in the grand scheme of development?
But you see, we always allow politics to inform government and governance. So we end up with a lot of government and little governance. Governance require the kind of collaboration and compromise and reaching out and ensuring that all the information and all the concerns are brought to bear in the discussion pot, as it were, and we arrive at the best outcomes for the people of Trinidad. This is about the people, you know. This is about not the Prime Minister or the Chief Secretary. This is about the lives of Tobagonians and the lives of Trinidadians. And we have to live in this land here as brothers and sisters, right? We are talking about diversification of this economy for over 30 years. And we have had naturally a diversified economy. You have a Trinidad economy that is gas and oil, and you have a Tobago economy that is tourism driven. Tourism is one of the reality. So if we just let me make the point.
Yeah.
If we invest, if the central government put a pipeline of investment into the Tobago economy to develop the tourism sector, to develop agriculture and trades and all those things that will support the tourism sector, we will have a vibrant economy in Tobago that will earn significant foreign exchange, forex, that will compensate for the fall off in the forex that we are suffering now from the decline in our oil fortunes and the low level of oil prices in the global market. What have we done in a strategic way to diversify this economy? We're still talking about oil and gas, and we're underfunding the development of the island. We're building an airport to accommodate 3 million people per year. Let us say 1 million of that is Trinidad and Tobago and passing through. We have 2 million. We anticipate that over time we'll have 2 million people coming through the airport. That airport, the most ultra modern in the region, beautiful, what do you call it? Efficacy? Or beautiful building emerging out of the ground, on the ground point. But at the end of the day, are they investing in the Tobago space to develop the tourism product, the auxiliary infrastructure that will support that global experience that we want to sell, that Tobago experience that we want to sell to the global community? Are we develop? The investment is being made in the people. Tourism is about the sale of a people, the environment, their history, and their culture to the rest of the world. It's not about airlift and nice hotel, you know, and nice airport, you know. Those are necessary infrastructure to make the experience pleasurable. But at the end of the day, the core of tourism is the sale and marketing of a people, their environment, their culture, their history to the rest of the world.
Right, but all is not lost, because there are situations where there are ministers who make the extra effort to have the relationship with Tobago.
Of course, yes.
We see it with Minister Foster Cummings, who makes Tobago.
And I must put in a plug here for my minister, Penelope Beckles.
Right, and we
have very outreaching.
I'm the Minister for Digital Transformation as well.
Yeah, well, he was reaching out, but he disappeared. He ghosted me out the other day. Yeah, we had some, it was exciting and things as that to be going on. And I saying it, me and come here to cut no trace. He goes me out, we had some meeting, I gave him the document that we did, you and I did with the diaspora thing, asking him for help to build the diaspora platform. The man disappeared, me and see from him, he sent no much message for me and him again. So I can't take him serious. He's that to be going and I can't take him serious. Hustle back us. We can't take him serious.
Understood, but we hope that he comes
meet him
back
over here.
Give
him the concept note for the diaspora platform thing that we want to build out. The man excited, he said, I go help all you. Me no see her. Calling to me grandmother, me no see her. Again, over here. He take the document and gone. But I'm waiting for him. Let me see that emerge in the Trinidad space. And I'm working in the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Right. It's important for Tobago to build out that type of diaspora engagement platform.
Yes, well,
and get the
I didn't want to trigger you on that, you know.
The support from the central government.
But we went to them.
That's something I'm very passionate about.
I know that because we did the work.
Right. But you know, sometimes the work is done in the back and it never comes to the fore.
No, it happens. You see, I just call a speed a speed.
It happens.
I tell you, we did the work. I met with him, presented the thing. I said, well, you are the thing. We need this built out, this registration platform. Like the idea, give him the concept note. We know you from Anslem. We know see so many. I send hundreds of messages for him. I WhatsApp him. I could show you the WhatsApp and him.
Understood. Very good. But we have limited time this morning, and to round up the discussion, what is going to happen moving forward with the limited resources that has been allocated to Tobago?
Right. So one, we have to cheat with this allocation and this complaint. This is a dispute. So the Chief Secretary, I am advised, will trigger the DRC in short order. He will get back to the Prime Minister, calling expressly for the triggering of the DRC. Two, we have to continue our articulation. But more importantly, we have to go back to the drawing board. That is the THA, and recalibrate the budget. We set our development program, and probably comes in line with the theme that we would have went with this year, strategic selectivity. We will have to now deploy a concept in our own minds, and as Tobagonians, we have to move to the power of consistency. The power of consistency. And I want to sell that this morning. The power of consistency, where we take small steps towards big successes.
Right, but
because that is
The
what will
fact
save
that
us in
the resources are now limited, it means that now we have no choice but to begin tapping into the diaspora. We have no choice but to start tapping into alternative means of funding.
Well, the thing is
So,
it, and I'm glad you said that. So and what Tobagonian needs to understand is that the central government determine ultimately what the THA can spend, because the THA can borrow. And what they are doing, when we get grant funding from the international agencies, they're keeping the money, or they're not giving us the no objection. Let me give you this one. We are about to set up the Tobago Development Fund / the Tobago Investment Fund, because we want to move away from the bank concept, because that brings a lot of legal issues with it. So we have really twisted the name from the Tobago Development Fund to the Tobago Development Fund. We have done the concept note. We have a collaboration with the Caribbean Development Bank, IDB and all. IDB love we have a committee looking at it. The IDB love the thing, saw the relevance of the thing in the Tobago space, because we are looking for funding to uptake the Tobago development. The IDB have offered us $600,000 support, in technical support, to build out the administrative structures and so forth, the governance arrangement for this new financing institution that we are looking to bring BDU and venture into, to create a bigger ecosystem that will drive the Tobago economic development. Since the 25th of June, listen to me, and let people know what is happening. On the 25th of June, 2024, the IDB wrote to the Ministry of Planning, indicating to them that they have approved 100,000 US, yes, 100,000 US support for the Tobago Development Fund program. They need a non-objection letter. I have the documents in them. The ministry sent it to me and tell me they will do the non-objection letter. Up to today, I have called the minister, me call the PS. Up to today, they have not given us the non-objection letter. So can't get the access.
So is this a situation where you have to go to the ministry and sit down in the minister's office and have him draft the letter in front of you?
They're not supporting the project. Full stop. Port of Spain is not supporting Tobago right to establish an entity.
But if you have a written letter saying that we will give you the non-objection letter, what can you now do with that?
They call us and say they're doing the non-objection letter. The ministry called me. I am the point person. That's why I could talk with such conviction. You see me not look for no paper. Me don't make up lies, you know. That they're going to do the letter for the chief administrator to sign the non-objection letter. Up to this day, I call the minister. Me dream the thing I'm morning that the government now. You laugh. The thing serious, you know. I jumped a morning, me wake up 2 o'clock in the morning. The government now support that project here. Me WhatsApp the minister, Penny. Come here and she good. Me say, Minister, what is the position? She said she called me. 5 o'clock in the morning, she called me. Anslem, so. Me say, she ain't seen nothing. Me say, Minister, but how you could say you ain't seen nothing? Your ministry send the documentation to me. I say, people can't play, they don't know. That was the conversation 5 o'clock in the morning. Trying to get Tobago business done. These people don't care and they're not interested. I am saying that without fear of contradiction.
All right. Well,
I am very passionate about this, you know.
Right. Finally, would this administration be going back to the public to understand what the public wants in regards to what the priorities for the next fiscal should be?
Well, the administration has to have a continuous conversation with the public, because the public has to journey with this administration if we have to be successful. So it can't be that we have this shortage in resources and you pull away in a corner and do your thing and come back. You have to have the conversation while we do the recalibration, and then we come to the public and say, well, look, we have looked at, because we would have had the conversation when we did the budget. So we looked at the thing. We will come back and say, these are the proposed priority areas that we want to, that the funding we have can really, fund in terms of our development agenda and so forth. But we need to have this conversation, continuous conversation and education of the people of Tobago and the people of Trinidad, because a lot of mischief is being made in this space. And I want to leave Tobagonian with this. We need the autonomy bill that will ensure that Tobago and Tobagonians get the level of constitutional protection from the political vagaries of Port of Spain. Because let me tell you something. We cannot leave our future and our entitlement in this republic to the breast milk of human kindness. This has to be protected in law. It has to be protected in law, because when you have a minister down there who feel he could cut your allocation when he want, because of political disagreement and because there's a fallout between the Chief Secretary and the Prime Minister, and they could apply to Tobago collective punishment. We have to ensure, all of us, the Shamfa Kodjo, the Ayana Webster Roy, the Hislop, the Ansel Dennis, and them have to understand that this is a bigger thing than politics and party. This is about the life and history and entitlement of our people. And we need to move to that place where we collectively stand up and say, no, this is not right.
All right. We want to thank you so much, Mr. Richards, for coming in this morning, giving us that clarity in regards to the DRC ruling and how that came about in regards to Tobago's population size. We hope that, something positive comes out of it, whether it be for the next allocation that we see coming to the Tobago House of Assembly. And again, I hope that you get funding for a number of those projects that you have been working on, specifically the Tobago Diaspora Engagement Project. And guys, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. See you soon. Have a great day. The energy filled the sky.